If you saw someone who was in a similar position to you, and you could see that they had, let's say, a potential appetite for doing better, but they had problems with, let's say, alcohol, what is it that you would say to them to help them?
You have to get sober first. And unfortunately, you can present an alcoholic or an addict of my type with $1 million, and they may or may not take it and get sober, or they can get a DUI and it may hit their rock bottom. Like, you just don't know when people have had enough. That's the frustrating and unfortunate thing. But what I would suggest is, as an alcoholic and addict, life is predictable. You know what you're going to get. Be guided by curiosity as to what's on offer on the other side of the ledger. What if you could unleash your full potential, redirect that energy to a positive way? What could life look like and what could life be like, and be guided by that curiosity and accept that it's going to be hard. But I actually grew the most in that first year of sobriety. It was exponential. Now it's, step changes, right? And in hindsight, that's when I learned, wherever there's fear or there's pain or there's hardship, and I'm not saying be masochistic, but many a times that's where we need to be going. That's where we need to be looking, because on the other side of that hard is going to be where we grow. I'm not saying anything that's not been said a million times. Unfortunately, I've seen people drink themselves to death, knowing they've got health issues or whatever, but they just don't stop.
Would you say it's up to them then? They got to want to do it.
150%. You can start off for other people, your kids, your wife, your blah, 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 blah. But ultimately, when it gets real and when it gets hard, you're going to have a deep why. Really. You're going to have to be a deep why and a sense of commitment.
I think where you started versus where you are now, I think most people would consider that a significant success. So what are some of the things that you would share which have made that a successful journey for you? Or maybe that you've implemented, rather?
I would say this, because it can be, I'll say this. I believe that a successful life, a successful human, a performance-orientated person. This is making the assumption that I'm talking to a person that is performance-orientated, that wants to be the best they can be. They're interested in their performance. That at the apex of their life, they should be guided by the evolution of mind, body, spirit, physical. That should be the guiding force. And if we make that the guiding force, and if we make that where we're going, the decisions we make are going to be the right decisions in the main and align with our development. And success will then come to you in whatever form that looks like. For some people, it's commerce. For some people, it's learning to be a pilot. For some people, it's being a teacher, whatever, right? Be guided by extracting the best you can out of yourself in every aspect of your being. Again, mind, body, spirit, physical. I think that's fundamental. And then from there, get committed. Get committed to the activities, the granular activities that are required to grow, right? So that might mean your physical element. You like CrossFit. Okay, so you join a CrossFit gym. What are the things you need to do CrossFit, XYZ? And then beyond that, what are the habits that need to be implemented? Get up early, go to sleep. See, so it's all about understanding where the evolution is, how you're going to evolve, and then what are the mechanisms to get there, and then the habits that are going to support that. That's what I would say to people.
Thank you for that. In terms of habits, I think a lot of people, they like the idea of kind of being successful in business, or maybe being a runner. You know, lots of people attempt to take up running, but they don't either have the motivation or they don't have the habits. What do you say to someone who is looking to do it but can't will themselves to do it?
Interesting one. I would say that, first of all, you have to see yourself, you have to see that particular discipline is somewhat sexy, right? So if you're not a runner, like if you're built like a Scottish dude, not to be stereotypical, you know, my wife's Scottish, right? Got big leg, like she just doesn't run, right? Like if you're built a certain way and you hate running, but for you, your idea of the fitness archetype guru is someone that can do 500 pull-ups, well, then maybe you get into a gym that's focused on functional training. So first of all, what you're pursuing needs to be attractive to you. And then I would say you get involved in a group that supports that function, right? So if it's fitness, a lot of people, let's talk about running, they join running groups. You find the people in the running group that move at your speed, they move and groove the same way you do. Then you publicly commit, you're committing to the group that you're going to get up. I know in the UK, lots of running groups, park runs, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. You start to commit and you start to do. And what ends up happening is you start to lose that need to use willpower, because as you start to get the results and you start to see the change, you start to get a feedback loop from your environment and from your body. I feel good. I look good. Oh my God, I could fit in these jeans. Oh my God, look at that girl. She's looking at me. She wants to go to. So all these things start to happen that perpetuate you to stay on that path. And what ends up happening is 90 days, 6 months, a year, it becomes less willpower and more who you are. You see, interesting. The other day, I was sitting next to someone in my office. It was getting funny times and I hadn't run. I said, oh, I got to run because I got to go for a run. So I quickly changed and I'm in the office. He's like, what do you mean you have to? And I didn't realize my language I was using. Now, some may say that's extreme, but in my view, I had to do it because it was part of the commitment I made to myself to run X amount of kilometers a week, because I identify as a runner. It's part of who I am. And I then serve that identity, right? So the key is to start to do things to the point that they become who you are. And what will happen is your habits and your behaviors and your actions will support your identity. And that could be negative too. That's the thing. Doesn't care if it's good or bad.
But you actually start, after a while, you actually start itching for a run, don't you? You're like restless.
Yeah, it just and then there's that whole going overboard, right? I mean, there's that piece too. And so you just manage that. But what happens is a lot of people don't, and I learned this through sobriety, man. First of all, we need to start accepting things are going to be hard. The problem is we all have this hard aversion. We want it to be easy. Fall in love with it being hard. Once you start to fall in love with hard stuff, that's like half the battle. That's like Mark Divine says, win the battle before you start. Like win the battle in your mind. You've already won the battle in your mind because you've accepted it's not going to be easy.
The end. It's a good place.
Good questions, Thomas. Good questions, my friend.